You know, sometimes when you see the energy with our children, they are just getting down, and we look at them and pray that we would go back to that being 16 again. And you can see we are trying. We did not disappoint. Yes, and we thank God that we can all meet here as the African continent, the women and the men of wisdom. There is no one time you will go and find mothers and not find their seeds. Every time you find a mother, just look around. You are going to see a boy and you are going to see a girl, because that is the work of a mother. So, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers of Gender, Equality and Women Affairs of the continent, the AU experts on gender equality and women empowerment, Your Excellencies present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity to warmly welcome you in Kenya again. I am certain many of our great participants, heroes of our country, have given you a befitting welcome. I will start by congratulating the organizers of this event. Thank you for inviting me to make these remarks today. We stand on the shoulders of formidable women and who have bravely laid the foundation and which we are building upon. I honor them and the sacrifice they made to get us where we are today. Those who attended the Beijing conference and started the clamoring of women's rights. Those who paid the high price to form many impactful organizations that have made great strides in women's rights, including the Pan-African Women's Organization. Mothers don't just meet. Their meeting must count for something. Mothers must birth communities, they must birth nations, an international earth-shaking and transforming agenda. Women, as we know, are the economic drivers, constituting over 51%. So, it is urgent, there is an urgent need to escalate initiatives towards gender equality and women empowerment. The Pan-African Women Organization is one of the oldest women movements recognized by OAU, by the President Mwalimu Julius Nyerere on 13th July 1962. Women who backed revolution and contributed immensely to African liberation. In the African story, I dare say the African woman has been ignored, her story being overshadowed by his story. I am glad we are sitting and we can correct and rewrite the undocumented accounts of mothers in freedom struggles. Her story will make bigger milestones for the sake of the future generations. I have heard that we are saying there is the old and there is the ones who are taking the baton, and the future who are our children, and I can see they are seated with us around. This year, we honor the Maputo Protocol 20th anniversary, and I say happy birthday, Maputo 20th anniversary. A beacon that grows stronger with each passing year. Without a doubt, it was the women that pushed the formation of OAU. They paved the way for us, and we owe to them to see that the establishment and conclusion of the 54th chapters of Pan-African Women Union, whose objective is to accelerate opening up of inter-Africa trade and development agenda. Through advocacy, and I can see that we have many organizations that are advocating for women equality and empowerment, through the advocacy for removal of arbitrary boundaries, visas and unnecessary tariffs that make it impossible for African-to-African economic partnership, technological innovation and exchange, so that we can be able to stimulate meaningful trade. It is most unfortunate that Africa, it is the richest continent in the world. Having gold, having silver, we have copper, we have cotton, we have everything. In agriculture, we read. In climate, we are good. In flora and fauna, you can never get better than Africa. Yet we are the poorest. So as women, as we sit here and decide the future of the Maputo Protocol in 21 years, I think we should be celebrating the trade and removing of all imaginary boundaries that cause our children not to trade with one another. Here in Kenya, we ratified the Maputo Protocol on 13th October 2010, and it was adopted in Mozambique on July 11, 2003 by the African Union. This protocol specifically addresses violence against women, harmful cultural practices such as female genital mutilation, supports the girl empowerment through education and empowerment. It promotes economic safety nets and addresses the rights of women living with HIV. The protocol obligates member states not only to sign it, but also to domesticate and implement the required registration and to actualize the rights and the protection of women. What that basically means, the Maputo Protocol was negotiated by the Africans for Africans. It addresses the contextual realities of the girls and women in Africa. Girls and the women essentially means the entire family. When I was sitting there and looking at the photograph behind me, it tells the story of who the woman is. You can see just one man in the middle there, and it could be representing the boy child, our brother, and our husband. But when you look there, you see a mother, a grandmother, and you can see the young woman who is a sister there. And I'm sure all of them are represented here to make sure that we transform Africa for what it ought to be. Pan-Africanization of the Maputo Protocol is necessary so that it accelerates for its innovation on women's rights protection, and therefore I propose that we implement the African way. The implementation will be better if we own it and address it in our own African way. Our rich cultural norms and practices had good ways in which we brought up our children to respect each other. The new developments, including social media, have contributed to increased cases of mental health amongst our children and increasing the incidences of gender-based violence. If we resort to the African values of mentorship, we shall achieve some intended outcomes of the Maputo Protocol. Secondly, and lastly, I call for the unity and solidarity. Let us uphold the communal responsibility to live in unity and harmony. True women work together to promote each other. We are responsible in the protection of one another. If we put our effort to work on 3 pillars of peace, security, and integration of the African Union and promote and the promotion of Pan-African ideologies, I am very sure our efforts towards the African continent free trade area, as well as we know it, women are the key drivers, and the women are the only ones that can be able to crack that free trade in Africa. If every woman, every wife spoke to the president and made sure that we are speaking about the future of Africa, I'm very sure even the internal crisis and conflicts that exist within Africa can come to an end. It is the mother's responsibility. Every mother must talk to the son, and every wife must talk to the husband, and every sister must talk to the brother. And we must tell them Africa must be peaceful. Africa must rise now, because it is a time, it is a season where we can be able to transform, change, and make Africa a better place to live. These conflicts that we have caused many of our children to migrate to countries where they live like slaves. And we want them to come back. We want them to be proud of Africa. We want the economies of Africa to be there. We are also calling on OAU that we can have our own African armies that can be able to stand in areas of conflict so that we can have a better understanding. The problems of Africans shall be solved by the African solution. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.